Dimension 20's The Ravening War is just hours away, and we got the chance to talk with cast member Anjali Bhimani about her time on the show, what it's like to make the jump from Critical Role to Dimension 20 for the first time, and if Matt Mercer was every bit as ruthless as Brennan Lee Mulligan was in A Crown of Candy. All that and much more in our exclusive interview with Anjali Bhimani.
And here we go.
So I guess the first question is how did you become involved with Dimension 20? You've so far all of your RPG experiences have been Critical Role based. So what made you jump over to Dimension 20? How did you become involved with this miniseries?
It's a great question. Well, actually, they've not all been Critical Role based because I did some stuff with Geek and Sundry as well before I did Critical Role, but that stuff happened because of Matt and Marisha.
Okay.
Marisha had recommended that I go there because I knew them from Overwatch and a bunch of other things.
Okay.
It wasn't so much, the TTRPG community is obviously very, very tight, and there's a lot of overlap. And so I've been watching Dimension 20 and loving it for a while at that point. So I was hoping that this was true, that it was only a matter of time before we'd be crossing the streams and I would get a chance to work with them. Because I love the stuff that they do. I love both their smaller series like the Ravening War, and then their main cast are just so extraordinary. And especially after watching Brennan do Exandria Unlimited Calamity for Critical Role, and watching how epic that was, I was just really excited. And what made me jump over is Matt texted me, "Hey, I've got this thing that I'm doing. No pressure, but I need to know by tonight if you can do it." And I was like, "It's you. Yes, I'll say yes before I even know what it is, because it's you." Because he's one of my dear friends and I trust him implicitly, and anything that I get to do where I get to hang out with him, I'm in.
Did you watch A Crown of Candy before? Yeah. Okay. So when you found out that Matt was going to do like a prequel campaign, what were your feelings about that?
Well, like I said, especially after watching Exandria Unlimited and seeing the power that can happen, specifically the Calamity.
Yeah.
The power of the prequel as an improvised creation is extraordinary.
Yeah.
One thing to write a prequel that's a movie or a book. But to have to create that, the level of virtuosity on the DM's part, first of all, to be able to create something that will live on, improvised, but will live on in the lore of an already existing universe, that's like, on a scale of 1 to 10 of difficulty, that's like a 17, right?
Yeah.
So, and obviously, Matt is Matt, so I was fully aware that he was capable of it, but I was just so excited that to get a chance to do that, to get a chance to be in that world ahead of time, that was very, very exciting. So like the good student I am, I watched all of Crown of Candy and took all my notes and made sure I knew who everyone was, because I really wanted to, I knew that this was a world that the D20 community had been very, very fond of. And when you are that fond of something, you have a certain ownership of it. And it's incumbent upon anyone who steps into that world as an artist to treat it with respect and love. And that's me training for the FDIC exam. You know what I mean? That's me focusing on, that's me doing my homework as a creator to make sure that the community that I'm creating this for, with these amazing artists who've already been a part of it, some of them, that's my job, to make sure that I'm doing right by them.
So can you tell me a little bit about your character that you'll be playing at Dimension?
Sure, Lady Amangeaux du Épicé du Pêche. Lady Amangeaux Épicé du Pêche. I just pronounced it wrong. So Lady Amangeaux she has been for some time the Queen of Vegetania. However, as everything starts during this series, we discover that she is mourning the death of her husband. And as a result, the monarchy is in question. And so this character for me is very different than any of the characters I've played before in any RPGs, because I've historically picked to create very capable characters. Characters who really knew what they were doing, knew how to navigate socially, physically, really knew how to navigate the waters that they were in. For Lady Amangeaux, she knew how to navigate those waters before he passed away, but she's about to be taken out of this life that she has lived. and put into a completely different set of circumstances she knows nothing about. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to create a character like her, who is very, very powerful in her own right, but in a very different, uncomfortable new world, trying to navigate a system she knows nothing about. Yeah.
So kind of following up on that, the courtly intrigue aspects of it, that's one of the big one of the big factors of A Crown of Candy. And it's I think that in an RPG setting is really interesting, because courtly intrigue really is thinking on your feet and trying to navigate the politics and stuff like that. But with an RPG setting, everyone's kind of on the same side. So how do you improvise with the other players? And what is your thought process as your character is trying to navigate through all these political intrigues? Like what's your main plays? What's your main cues? How do you try to navigate? Because that's the closest thing to what actual people actually have to do in those types of situations.
Right. What a fantastic question. Okay, there are several parts to this answer, so let me see if I can remember all of them. First of all, how do I say this? First of all, ultimately, when you're playing, let me start with this. First of all, in TTRPGs, just like in any other medium, the most important thing is story. The story. What is going to tell a good story? It's way more important that I tell a good story than I get to use all of my characters' strengths and skills and all of that. And, the conflict in a circumstance like this doesn't necessarily have to come from not agreeing with the players across the table. The conflict comes from the very fact that I am in this circumstance that is unexpected and that I don't know how to navigate. And so, I don't think this is a spoiler, but I remember when I created the character, I was like, okay, so she's in court. A lot of this is going to be in court. And so I got to pick all of these. I got to pick, these are all the skills that I'm going to pick. And these are my proficiencies and all of that. And within the first 10 minutes of filming, I was like, oh, I'm not going to get to use any of these, because this is a whole different game. And no pun intended, it's a whole different game in terms of where Lady Amangeaux is having to live her life, right? So I think it actually really, hopefully, served the story and served the show that just like her, Anjali was a little iffy on her feet, trying to maintain this sense of order, but also I don't really, okay, what am I going to do with these skills in this situation? So that was really exciting to me, because it created a conflict, not just in the story, but within myself. That was really fun to play.
Were there any of the other players? Because I know you've played with some of these other players before. Were there any players that you were really interested in watching to see what they did during this, or that you haven't gotten a chance to play with before?
Every single one of them, because one way or another, every single one of those stories was going to affect me. And also, even the ones that I had played with before, the ones that I hadn't played with before, I had watched and seen how incredible they are in this storytelling format. Going into it, we knew that Brennan and my character had a relationship. So I was very not dependent, but very interdependent with him in terms of how he did things. But at the same time, obviously, just like any other TTRPG show, we had things that we had not told each other. And we had, just like every other character and every other actor. So that discovery happening in the moment, happening in the playing, was really, really, really special. I loved having Aabria on this side of the table with me after having her behind the screen. It was so much fun. Aabria is just pure joy. I see her, I don't even have to get near her, but I see her and she fills me with joy. So I knew it was going to be really fun. And we have some pretty incredible moments, at least I remember from the inside, and I hope the audience feels the same way. And I knew, from watching Zach and Lou both, in the previous Crown of Candy, I knew how Zach, for example, has this he says the most brilliant, hilarious things in the most understated way, and they are so perfect for the story, and then he'll rip your heart out. with something else that he says. And it's just, I that flip back and forth, I was looking very forward to trying to navigate that with his character. And Lou is just loads of fun. Like, I've seen him perform with Brennan on stage. He's just like, I just couldn't wait to get in there with him.
Was it weird at all? So, you're playing in a world that Brennan created, but Brennan was not the one in control of that world. Was that like a weird, like, like kind of like looking to Brennan at all? Like, like what's the continuity here?
A problem not for several reasons. It was not weird for me for several reasons. One is that I did Exandria Unlimited with Aabria behind the
that's true.
And Matt playing with us.
Yeah.
So I'd had the experience before already of that happening. And what was so beautiful about that experience and this one as well is that whoever was behind the DM screen, that was the person telling the story. That was the person who made the world. And obviously both Matt and Brennan had huge respect for each other in the worlds that they had created. So they had made sure that everything that, it's mind blowing to me, the things that these guys have created in their shows. So I wasn't so much looking to anyone else for guidance as trusting that together we would all shape the story in a way that would work. I feel like honestly the hardest part, for obvious reasons, is Matt taking on that world, because he has to set the stage in so many different situations for us to create the lore that then goes on to be in A Crown of Candy. I'm already terrified of DMing. I can't imagine DMing something like that. Can't imagine.
It's watching what Brennan and Matt and Aabria have all done. As someone who spends most of their time behind the GM screen, I'm just blown away consistently.
And it's also not just them. There's so many other DMs. Bronze, Jasmine Puller is out there.
Oh yeah,
amazing stuff, and she created this whole new incredible world for us for Desi Quest. That ended, so there are so many other people out there who maybe have seen these folks who are further along, but are coming in with their own unique storytelling flavor and coming in and doing all of these super cool things, and being at their table is really exciting too. So it's, and in other RPGs, to being at the table with other game masters. I've been exquisitely spoiled by the people that I've gotten to play with, because my friends are really dope.
So kind of speaking along that, I had one other question, and it kind of relates, because you're a working actress, as well as becoming you are a prolific tabletop RPG player as well. When you're on the set, do you kind of probe a little bit to see what cast members could potentially be future Dungeons and Dragons players or future tabletop RPG players?
No, I don't. I kind of, maybe I should more, but I kind of am this way. I'm the same way about video games when I'm on set. It's not that I'm trying to hide that part of my life. I never would hide any of it. I'm proud and love all of the different facets of my career that I've been able to tap into. But I tend to just let the conversation organically come to different things when I'm learning about other people. Because I'm much more interested in asking them about themselves than about me in the first place. And if it seems like something is going in that direction, we can have a moment of connection over TTRPGs or over video games or over any number of things that we connect with. So I don't specifically probe for that. It definitely come up.
My editor specifically asked me, it's like, see if she played Dungeons and Dragons on the set of Miss Marvel. I'm like, I don't know that happened.
Who had time? No, we did not get to. It was also during lockdown, so getting to see her outside of set was not so much an option. Not during lockdown, but during the days of the pandemic when we didn't have the vaccine yet, and we still had there was still a lot of uncertainty. So I spent my time either on set or in my hotel room. I was hiding out.
Oh, COVID lockdown. Just getting flashbacks thinking about it. So one final question. What are you looking forward to the viewers seeing come out of this campaign? Like, What is like is there a particular moment or a scene or the energy that comes out of it? What are you looking forward to people experiencing the most?
I just thought about this, and I think it's going to be powerful. A lot of us in our lives, we have every intention of our lives going one way, but for whatever reason, they go another.
Mm-hmm.
And many of us think that as a result, we are failures, or as a result, we'll never attain our dreams, we'll never have a life that we want. So much of this story is about when life doesn't go the way you think it's supposed to go, and what do you do with that? And I would hope, and I'm excited for this to happen because I really hope it does. What I would hope people would see is that there is a future, even when things changed in wild and unexpected ways, and that even through heartbreak, there are ways to live, there are ways to move on. And I hope people get a little bit of solace through that, recognizing that you didn't do it wrong, you did it your way. You didn't do it any other way than you yourself had the power to do. And I think I think that's going to be, I'm going to be really excited and intrigued to see how people react to that, because it's definitely a theme throughout the show.
Okay, but thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you.